Hey there, I'm Casey. Welcome to my garden in Tampa, Zone 10A. Here we have one of our dragon fruits and it's going to flower tonight. So in this video, we're going to talk about how to collect and store its pollen. Check it out. So up here we have our two different dragon fruits. Since it's going to flower tonight, it's a big deal, so I made sure to get the GoPro up there so we can get a time lapse of its bloom opening. It only blooms for one night, so you want to make sure that you either hand pollinate, cross pollinate, or collect the pollen. So it depends on the type of dragon fruit that you have. Up this pole we have two different dragon fruits. We have Haley's Comet as well as Purple Haze. I'm not sure which one this is, but it's one of those two. So this one is self-sterile, means it does not pollinate itself, but it will pollinate the other, so that whenever the other one does flower, we'll have that pollen available to pollinate it and get some dragon fruit. There are two flowers on this dragon fruit. It takes about a week or so for that, whenever you start to see it, to get this far, and it's going to open tonight. And they open up at night, so we're going to come back out in a few hours and collect the pollen and see what it looks like. This flower is humongous. So the tools that we're going to use to collect that pollen is going to be this little handheld vacuum cleaner we got off of Amazon. It has some filters on the inside, but they're kind of big and clunky, so I'm going to show you what we do instead. So this is the little handheld vacuum cleaner. I think it's for like computers. It's USB chargeable, and this part comes off. And like I said, the filter is kind of big and clunky, so I'm just going to take a regular coffee filter and cut out a piece. And then just kind of lay it on top of here, so whenever the pollen comes in through the tube, it'll just get stuck on the coffee filter, and then we can save it for later. It comes with different brush heads. I think I might use this brush head tonight to collect some of the pollen. And Ariel uses a straw to use as a scoop to store the pollen. And then you want to make sure that you have some kind of desiccant packets to put little desiccants inside, because you do not want your pollen to get any moisture inside of it. Moisture will destroy the pollen viability. So I just took this outside part and I made a circle around the coffee filter, and then I just put it on top of the vacuum and then put the lid on, and it just kind of sits on it. It's about 11 o'clock at night now. The flower's been opening for about 2.5 hours. I think that it's pretty much gone as long as it's going to go, so now we're just going to collect its pollen. You see the pollen on the inside? So now we're going to need to go inside. We're going to put this in a bowl and we're going to dry it in the air for about 12 hours and come back in the morning. So here we have all our pollen. I'm just going to flake it off in here, and then we'll let it dry and deal with it tomorrow. So it's the next morning and you can see that the flower is starting to die. You can also see it rained last night, so that's another concern about growing dragon fruit, because it only opens for one night. It has to be cross-pollinated, and then if you have rain like this, it's going to sterilize the pollen so you can have some challenges with the weather cooperating. So you might need to put like an umbrella or something over the system, or you can also come in and you can bag this if it's a self-fruitful variety. Okay, so now this is the next day. It's been drying for about 12 to 14 hours. And I'm going to show you two different ways that you can store the pollen. So you can use a desiccant, like the little balls inside of one of these packets. And if you don't have that, you can always use rice instead. And then you can either store inside one of these little vials or just a simple piece of aluminum foil. And I'll show you how to do that. This is how much pollen we got off of the flower last night. You could put all of this in one vial, but then you'd only be able to pollinate one flower in the future. So I would take this pollen and divide it into two different tubes. Whenever you pull it out of the freezer in the coming weeks or whenever to pollinate something else, you don't want to defrost it and freeze it, defrost it and freeze it. So it's kind of only a one and done. So just make smaller batches now. I'm not really concerned if there's any anthers in there. They'll just brush off whenever we pollinate it. We just need to make sure that we get the pollen. I think that's a fair amount inside of there. Pollen can stay viable for a few days in the fridge, but if you were to freeze it, it can last months if you keep it airtight as well as dry. Okay, so here are our dragon fruit pollen. This is how we store them, and then we want to put them inside of a bag. On your bag, you want to make sure that you label it. I don't know if this is Haley's Comet or Purple Haze, so I'm just going to call it the dragon fruit one. You want to put the date that you harvested it, and then how many vials you harvested. Once they're in here, you can add some more rice or some more desiccant packets just to make sure that it keeps all of the moisture out. Especially whenever you're going to pull some of these out to pollinate later in the future. Whenever you pull it out of the fridge, you can get condensation. So you want to make sure that you're keeping it nice and dry inside here. And get as much air out as you can. And then you would just store this in the freezer. And then another option would just be to use aluminum foil. So I'll show you with salt how we would do that. You just want to create like a little pocket. You can add your rice. So your little fake pollen in there. Add your rice. Then you're good to go. Same thing. You would just label it. The date. From here also, I'd probably still put it inside of a Ziploc bag. So once you put it in here, I'd add a few more pieces of rice just to the bag for the same reason. Whenever you pull it out to defrost it, you might get condensation. So you just want to have some kind of moisture absorption in there. Remove the air and then put it in your freezer. So there you have it. That's how we collected our dragon fruit pollen last night, and we're going to store it in the freezer to cross-pollinate the other one whenever it decides it wants to finally bloom. Thank you so much for watching our video today. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you want to keep watching along with us and see how we planted these as cuttings, check out that video right here. See you in the next one.